Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. You are now joining Elyza Elio on the podcast, aka the Blazed Chef. This woman that I'm sitting across from today was the 2019 Top Vegas Female Cannabis Chef, a growing industry, especially out here in Vegas, where the marijuana and cannabis industry is just growing at double-digit percentages every year. So I'm excited to find out more about this craft and to see something that's different than just cannabis brownies.
Right.
So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So I have a question. There's like a lot of different directions we could go with this, but I'll just propose a simple one. At first, did you have a love for cannabis or a love for cooking?
I had a love for both.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Right at first start?
Yep. Since I was like, first food, because I found out about food when I was younger. Then I found out about cannabis, and then it was just like, I should do both of these things at once.
Are you originally from Vegas?
I'm from San Diego, California, born there, and then I actually grew up in Houston, Texas.
When did you move out here?
When I was 15.
Okay. Yeah. So you're pretty much a local at this point, or a native. It takes about 3 to 5 years to finally become indoctrinated into the typical Vegas lifestyle.
Right. I've been here for like 15 years. So yeah.
Pull a little bit closer for you. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Like that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What kept you out here?
Family at first, and then just working. It's cheaper than Cali.
Way cheaper.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing everyone leave Cali as well. Just mass exodus.
They found out it was cheaper.
Yeah, you could sell the little $2,000 square foot house or 2,000 square foot house in Cali for $1 million and come quadruple that size for the same amount.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Right.
When did you decide to cross-pollinate your love for cannabis and for cooking?
So I think it was about 18, and I found out that I can make like pot brownies. So I tried doing that, and I totally just messed it up. Like I didn't do it the proper way, so it didn't work. Like didn't get as high. And then I was like, well, maybe I should really focus on it and like find out what I need to do to actually make this work, make the infusion like be potent. So I'd say like about 18, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And this was, I'm assuming this was before weed was legalized out here?
Yeah. Yeah. But I wasn't selling anything. This was just like personal stash, like trying it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Most of us tried to cook pot brownies when we were younger.
Yeah.
And you use the little recipes that you find on Reddit or the internet, and you never figure out how to actually do it. Some of it just tastes like straight weed when you cook it. Other times it actually tastes pretty good. And now the pot brownies that you buy from like dispensaries, you can't even taste it.
Yeah, that's what I like to go for, that kind of style too. Like you can't really taste it, but you like later you know that it's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, edibles hit much harder than when you're smoking or dabbing.
Yeah, it's totally different high. Totally different high.
Is there a different variation in terms of cannabis infusion?
Yeah, there's different ways to do it. You can use distillate, which gives it no flavor to your food, and it's actually a higher like potency. So you got to be careful when you're using that, though.
What's distillate?
Distillate, it's a like pure form of like wax, I guess, kind of. Yeah. I don't know how to describe it.
That's fine. Yeah. I'm very familiar with wax. It's this kind of stuff that goes into weed pens or when you're dabbing and you just want to go to heaven and just check out of life for a few hours.
Yeah, so distillate's like that, but it has no flavor, it has no taste, and it's just I don't know like how to describe it, but it's good. Mm-hmm. It's good, yeah.
And what are the other variations?
Just cannabis oil, which is like you extract it from the plant with your oil and like your butter, whatever you want to use, and you can make a kind of infused oil or butter. That's another way. You can do sugars. There's so many like tinctures, so many other things that you can infuse with. Yeah.
I like when I'm scrolling through your profile, I like that the majority of it, or at least 90% of all of your cooking isn't your traditional baking and sweets. I saw
Yeah.
things like lobster on there
Yeah.
and chicken. How do you infuse it into something that isn't necessarily carb based and it's more like protein and fat based?
So it actually gets you higher with regular food than your sweets because the fats inside of the infusion is what sticks to you and gets you higher. So what was the question again? I'm a little high.
That right on par, right? The Blaze Chef, or also called the Blazed Podcaster in this term. No, that makes complete sense because for those who have tried to pass a drug test, weed always stuck in your system for at least 30 days because the THC sticks to your fat inside. So that makes perfect sense that it would stick to the fat when you're baking.
Right. So yeah, the more fat that's in it gets you higher. So like butters and all that kind of stuff, the oils. That's why you get higher with regular food rather than sweets.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so if I'm doing something like lobster, I'll do like a butter, like a clarified butter with the cannabis oil that I use to make it. So that's how that would fit into that, yeah.
Do you make your own cannabis oil or is it something that you buy?
I make it myself.
That's what makes you the best female chef.
Yeah, I make it all myself. I make sure that I get like top grade stuff to put into it. I want to like know the strains that I'm using, so I can know what kind of high my client's gonna get. Yeah.
Interesting. Is that part of the menu too? When somebody approaches you, I saw on your website that you do different catering events or special events like that. Do you have a menu written out where it's like, this chicken is gonna make you sleepy, or this lobster is gonna make you awake? Kind of thing?
I'll generally go for like, what kind of high do you want? Like, what kind of what's your tolerance? Have you done this before? Because some people want to try it out, and I'm like, well, like, where are you at? Like, with your infusion level, like, have you ever tried edibles before? Because I don't want to knock somebody on their ass.
Yeah, where's your tolerance at?
Yeah.
Some is much larger than others. When I was a still pothead, when I was in college, I was smoking 5, 6, 7 times a day. That's where the high was only lasting 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Now I haven't smoked for almost 3 years. So if I smoke now, it'd be high for a day.
Yeah. And then even with that, like, if you smoke a lot of weed, that has nothing to do with your edible tolerance, because that's like totally different. Like, it's not the same high. It hits through your body instead of like going through like
the absorption into your body.
Yeah.
Can you build a tolerance for edibles?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You can?
Oh yeah.
The way that I don't know, does it digest through the stomach,
I think because it goes to like your stomach, that it hits throughout like your whole body, I guess. And that's why it like knocks you out.
That's why you can't move. There'd be times where I'd take edibles and I'd be laying on my bed and
like this, right?
the remote's on the other side to change the channel and I can't even reach it.
Yeah.
Like I've gone much too far.
Yeah.
So when did you decide to double down on the Blaze Chef and pursue it, I guess, full time, or for the majority of your time you realized that this was going to be something big and that there was a market for it in Vegas?
So I really started focusing on it around like 2017. That's when I started my Blaze Chef page. And I would dabble here and there. Where I first started, though, is out in Cali, because everybody was doing it out in Cali, but nobody was doing it out here yet. So I was like, all right, I've seen how they do it out here. I'm going to take it out to Vegas, see how it goes. And it's been pretty good ever since. But I really, really like started focusing on myself and my business when everything shut down for COVID. I was like, all right, I was in sales and my job shut down. So I was like, all right, well, good thing I have this to focus on and fall back on to support my family and myself. So worked out great.
Once the pandemic started, this is something that I preached all the time, was that this would be the best rebranding opportunity for everyone.
Definitely.
For anybody, anytime, probably for the rest of our lives, while everyone's continually focusing on some of the extracurricular activities of the world and the politicians and what's happening with COVID and their mom and whatever. If you just focus and hone in on your own skills, you can increase so much demand for whatever product or service that you output afterwards. It seems like it worked out really well for you.
Yeah. It really made me focus on like, all right, if I'm gonna do this and I want to take it serious, now's the time. And if I can make it, then like I'm gonna stick with it, and I'm meant to do this. So far, it's going towards that. I'm really happy about it.
Do you offer catering services through your own brand? Do you partner with any other like-minded individuals who are pursuing this as well? What's kind of that demographic and trajectory for you?
I really just focus it me and myself, and I have my girlfriend that helps me out, and just me and her, and we just grind it out.
Just you two together?
Yeah, it's just us two. That's my team. Also, my sister-in-law, she helps out a lot too, kind of keeps us organized. But other than that, it's just me. My mom will help sometimes too, come over, chop some stuff. Yeah, sure. But it's really just me and my family grinding it out.
It's ran under the brand, the Blaze Chef?
Right, yeah.
Interesting. Is that an LLC?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah.
This was what I was curious about in terms of catering services for cannabis infusion, because there's still, even though it's legal on a state level, there's still a lot of misunderstanding and confusion around it. A lot of gray area. Yeah. Are you actually allowed to go and serve for people? Because I know there aren't any restaurants that offer this kind of service. They kind of have that workaround with CBD. Mm-hmm. Do you know the specific legal framework that surrounds your craft?
I know that when I'm doing, the way that I'm doing it, for infusion, that's free. You're paying for the meal. So that's just like my gift to you. So I'm not selling like any kind of thing like that. Mm-hmm. But, as far as like all legal things, no, not really.
There's still a lot of gray area.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of gray area. But I know there's like little loopholes. But yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be legal on a federal level.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. Most of the great things in life were done first and then asked for forgiveness later. That's right. In terms of tech, anything like that.
Yeah, and even before when cannabis wasn't legal, like people were still selling weed. It was still here, but now it's legal and now it's okay. So.
Yeah, it's you have to prepare for it. It's like people wonder, once weed became legal, there was hundreds of brands that were already prepared for it. It's like obviously exactly. they had to practice in that gray area before, and that's a perfect idea for you. Even looking forward to the next blooming and I guess legalized industry would be psilocybin. Have you followed that at all?
Oh yeah, definitely to microdose. Totally into that. Yeah.
It's an industry where obviously it was just legalized in Oregon. Right. But I keep hearing from different people that I've talked with and things that I've read that it's going to eventually make its way down to Nevada.
Oh, really?
But you still have to, if you want to be into that industry, you have to prepare yourself, whether you have a product or working. Like with psilocybin, you can literally buy the psilocybin habitats off of Amazon to grow it. So it's like, what kind of gray work is that? They're literally selling you everything you need.
Exactly. They're prepping them for like what the cannabis industry was kind of. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I make chocolates and stuff too, like low microdoses. Those are great.
See, you could be the Blaze Chef and also what do you call it? The Trippin' Chef. We'll call you the exotic chef.
Right, that's a good one. That one sounds sexier.
It's a hyper blend of both different practices as well.
Yeah.
Do you have a large customer base? Would you say that this industry is still in its infancy when it comes to cannabis infused meals? Where do you think that trajectory is along the potential of where your market can reach?
I have a pretty good customer base. Like I have clients that'll hire me like once a month, and like they're regulars. Or I'll have people coming into town and they heard about me and they want to book me. So that's actually half my clientele is people just coming into town. Like, hey, I've heard about you. I want to book you. I want the experience. So, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What is the the size? What would you say is the average size of a catering event?
It depends. I'll have like a couple hire me. I'll have like a little party of 5. Sometimes it'll be like a party of 12, 30. Really depends.
And do you eat with them too after a prepared meal?
No, even if they invite me, I just don't feel right eating the meal with them because I'm like, this was a job. Like I know people want to like. Usually my clients always want to smoke and party with me, but I'm like, I'm here to cook. And I try to keep it like a professional level.
You need to set the precedent for it, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like with the bartender. You want the bartender to drink with you, but they have to be professional. It's because like I can't get too fucked up, and then I'm gonna mess up on the meal. It's the same with serving a drink. I'm gonna begin to over pour you or under pour you because I'm also under the influence of whatever you're serving.
Yeah, exactly. So I try and keep it like, no, you guys eat, enjoy the night. This is for you guys. So. Yeah.
What's the outlook for 2021? Do you see your business exploding? Are you eventually going to have to hire more chefs around you?
I think so. Definitely think it's getting bigger, especially because I'm doing little events now, private events. So those are getting bigger. Definitely need to hire some staff. So yeah, definitely want to bring on more chefs with me.
How would you train them? Do you have like a specific chef strategy when it comes to infusing meals?
Yeah, I do. And I guess I would just show them what I know and how to do basically what I do. Yeah.
You're going to have to write like a little business plan. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
For the different infusions. Do you infuse CBD as well? I know that's also a growing industry.
Yeah, I do. Especially, I like to put a little CBDs, like usually at the end of my meal, just in case like somebody didn't have the right tolerance for that meal and they got too high, because CBD will balance you out and calm you back down. So I try to keep CBD at every dinner that I do or event. Yeah. And
what are the benefits from CBD on the contrary of we'll say THC? What are some of the positives and negatives comparing both?
I mean, CBD, it doesn't get you high at all. It's just purely like medicinal, and it helps out with so much. Like people think that, like, oh, I don't feel it when they take CBD. It's because you have to take like multiple times till you feel like a difference, like kind of with any medication. And it really does just help with everything, like even headaches, like things you think that it wouldn't help with, and it's so little, like it makes a difference. And THC, that gets you high, like that's gonna fuck you up, make you feel better if you got any pain, or like it helps people with like anxiety if you can't eat. Also just like calms you down. Both of them do though.
CBD was something that I used to put in my coffee regularly a few years ago.
Yeah.
It actually, had some calming agents or effects to it. I couldn't really tell what it was. Sometimes it
mellows you out.
You out. Yeah. Sometimes I couldn't tell if it was actually working or not. But then if I wouldn't take it one day and I'm like, I feel a little bit more aggressive or maybe a little bit more focused on things.
It does something with that. Yeah. But you can't really don't know what it is.
I know some of my friends that indulge in the CBD, I guess, industry and products. It's used as like a numbing agent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for like people who have like shoulder pain
or
arthritis. Yeah, the topicals. I guess that's the name for it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. When it comes to THC, I'm no expert in THC, but the things that I read, I know there's some underlying components to it. I think like what's it called, cannabinoids and terpenes.
Yeah.
Do you take these kind of structures or building blocks to the THC? Do these weigh on your decision of what type of weed to use?
So like the cannabinoids and like the terpenes.
Yeah.
I'm not I don't really use terpenes because some of them are like the flavor of them. It's a really, really strong flavor, and it's like one drop goes a long way. And if I used it in my meals, right, it would be good. But sometimes if you overdo it, you get like this really, really strong flavor, and it's not good at all. But I know they're good if you're smoking it, like all the terpenes, like in weed and stuff like that. It definitely elevates the THC level of what you're smoking. So
Is that what a terpene is? Just flavor?
it's flavor, but it also enhances the THC too. So like different types of terpenes will do different things for you.
And the cannabinoids is just the difference between indica and sativa?
The cannabinoids, that's like the stuff that gets you high.
Yeah. So the different effects.
Yeah.
I just remember indica was
the downer.
We used to call it indicouch.
Yeah.
Indicouch. And sativa is what usually made you like more aware.
Yeah,
I guess
definitely like
awake.
a upper, like awake, like and then the hybrid's the in between. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What would you say is your most common application of weeds in when you're integrating it or infusing it into meals?
Definitely indica. Everybody wants to be in the couch.
Everyone wants to be down.
Yeah.
I guess when you're eating too, you kind of get that just fullness feeling.
Yeah, you just want to like chill out, relax. After the meal, you want to go and lay down and, unwind.
And what's the most common meal that you're cooked? Is it generally chicken or the lobster?
Everybody's hyped on the surf and turf. So that's like what I've been cooking a lot lately. Everybody likes the steak and lobster.
I think it's because it's like, it just seems like it shouldn't exist.
Yeah,
Like it didn't for so long. You're like, I can eat steak and get high.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't because we were eating sweets for so long and the side effect or the byproduct of eating weed brownies is that it tastes so good that you just want to keep eating more. You don't feel full.
Yeah.
It's like this inevitable cycle of just continually getting high until you just have a freak out.
Till you're like, oh, I think the edibles are hitting me now.
Have you ever taken a break from smoking or edibles during this entire, I guess, journey of the Blazed Chef?
Definitely not. Well, I mean, because I got a taste test and I got to make sure the product that I'm using works. So, I mean, between me and my girlfriend's my main taste tester, so she'll definitely know if it's like too much or not enough. So I use her as a guinea pig.
I guess that just goes right along the cliche term of that you should never take alcohol from a bartender who doesn't drink, or you should never be served alcohol from a bartender who doesn't drink, because they don't have the taste in mind. They don't have your best, I guess, feelings in terms of it. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense from it.
You gotta taste your product too. So I mean, I'm there testing it, getting high. So
I had to take a break. I just felt like my tolerance was getting so high that I had to spend so much money on weed to get that same lasting effect where it would fade away after 30 or 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's why dabs. Have you tried dabs before?
Oh my God. They put you on the ground.
Yeah.
The ground.
So that's where I take a lot of dabs and smoke a lot of wax.
That's your favorite?
I like both. I like smoking flower, like joints, blunts, but I also like taking a nice dab and just being super high.
I have one of my good friends actually had on the podcast. His name is Jane Tredup. He's in like the computational neuroscience kind of space, and he takes dabs all day, every day, and just does all these like highly computational math problems. I'm like, I don't know how you guys do this. It just makes me feel like an idiot.
You definitely, like you said, you have to build up a tolerance. Because I remember my first dab, I was like, I was at a party, I didn't know what I was doing, and I took it was out of a bong too. Your rig should be like smaller for your first one. And I was at the party just on the couch, like laying my head back, like out.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Do you think this? Here, let me phrase it this way. In your long-term view, do you want to build the brand into something like a food truck or a restaurant, or do you just want to continue down the catering route?
I would like to do both. Do you want to open a food truck? Obviously, it'd have nothing to do with cannabis at all, because that's illegal 100%. But
that's not the gray area.
Yeah, that's not a gray area at all. So I do want to open a food truck, but I still want to do like my private dinners with the like infusion and events and stuff like that, but totally keep those separate. Like, Yeah.
That makes sense. You want to separate yourself from not being just the Blaze chef. You can also be just a chef.
Yeah. Yeah.
As radical as it may sound,
know,
just cooking ordinary food.
Yeah. Definitely.
What type of food trick would you like to dive into?
I'm Filipino, so I kind of want to do like a lumpia one. I don't know if you've tried.
Ooh, yes.
You know what lumpia is?
Yes.
Yes. I want to do like different versions of lumpia, like totally, well, traditional and then like non-traditional. Like my grandma would be mad if that was a lumpia.
I had a gentleman on here. His name is George Martinez. He runs Raging Tacos food truck, and for those who create or build food trucks, I give them props. There's so much loopholes that you have to go through in terms of the variants licensing and just like the Fox 5 reporter that we were talking to before we started recording this. They don't really have a place to go.
Yeah.
So it's like an on-demand, almost like it's like an on-demand food truck where I know George has to go find almost like catering type events where he goes to like different businesses or outings at the park and kind of plop up there until you get kicked out to the next thing.
That's and it sucks because the food trucks, people love the food trucks too, just as like they'd like any other restaurant. So definitely sucks that they're not able to have a spot for themselves right now.
I think food trucks are really where the future is designed and where it's progressing. The majority of people are now not even visiting restaurants. They're getting delivery like Uber Eats. So if you have a food truck where you can be on the go and have the Uber Eats people meet you there, but also set up at a park, it just seems like a win-win. And the cost and upkeep of a restaurant is on magnitudes greater than just a food truck.
Definitely. Yeah. So that's why I see myself doing a food truck over a restaurant, especially right now with all the craziness going on. And food truck would be the way to go.
In a food truck, you really only need, I think George only uses 3 people to operate his food truck. Yeah. It's like he's a chef, you have a driver, and one other person for sales.
Yeah.
Much more applicable. And let's be honest, the majority of people now, our generation, we like to go out and be about, and we're really into this thing that's like a pop-up shop. Are you familiar with that term?
Oh yeah, I do pop-up shops all the time.
You do?
Yeah.
Recently?
Not recently, but back before COVID, I would do like little pop-ups and have people like pull up, and I'd have my little like taco grill or whatever, and yeah.
Was this infused as well?
It was, yeah.
That is awesome.
On the low.
You guys heard it here first, or you didn't. Where would you pop up at?
Just like different little areas. I would just post like where I was going, where I was going to be at, and I'd have people come and would have like a little line.
I'm beginning to see this model pop up more and more. There's a place in the downtown area, a pizza place called Yukon Pizza, and they send out different directions every few weeks at the different locations that you're at. And to me, it's like it adds into the thrill of the experience.
It does. I think people like going like, hey, where are they going to be at? Are they open today? I kind of want like, that food looks so good. I want to go. Like I do that all the time. If I see something I want to like go try.
I understand why the rave kids of the late 90s were so in love with it. It's like you have to get on a payphone and call this number, and they're like, okay, this is the password, and it's at this weird rave warehouse, and it's just continually moving. I think our generation and the younger generations are kind of moving into this like nomad lifestyle.
Yeah, they like it. They like it's so secret, and like I'm gonna be able to go there. Like, yeah.
No boomers allowed.
Exactly.
Especially with this, I've been kind of harping on this a lot. This creative economy that we're moving into, the landscape of traditional businesses, of the brick and mortar and the kind of corporate structures are becoming disintegrated over time.
Yeah.
And we're realizing that we can profit off of our own brands, whether we're offering a service or we're an influencer or an educator. And so being on the move is just more appropriate to our lifestyles.
Definitely. Totally agree. Yeah.
And through the pandemic, we've realized that as remote working has become more popularized, people are moving out of California, they're moving out of New York, and they're moving into places like Vegas and Houston and Miami and Nashville.
Yeah.
And they realize like, hey, if I can take my services with me, why do I have to be here?
Yeah.
Like, why do I have to pay these outrageous fees?
Yeah. That's crazy. But it's awesome though. It's a good thing. Like, I like it.
Yeah, but our generation does. It's more appropriate, and we're living in smaller spaces as we get older. Like this apartment we're sitting in is like 500 square feet.
Yeah,
and it seems
though.
Thank you, appreciate it. It seems small, but I'm like, I have a podcast set up, I have a bed, I have my computer. There's still extra room. Like this like luxurious, like oversized spaces of businesses and houses, it just doesn't fit us anymore.
Yeah,
it's like,
I agree.
I only need small spaces.
Yeah.
And building your service is literally right on par with that, because obviously cannabis is only legal in 30 states maybe?
I think it bumped up a little bit more from the last
election.
Yeah, from the last election, but I'm not sure. But I know a bunch of more states at least went medical too, so that's cool.
And I know the Democrats, they want to federally legalize it, which should have been federally legalized a decade ago or
100%.
more, because of the unjust jailings and prison sentences of small term weed sales. It sucks, but if you have your business set up, it's almost like you're front running the federal legislation of weed, right? Because if you're ready and you've been doing this now 4 years, by the time it's legalized, we'll say another 3 or 4 years, you can have a full blown business and you could scale it to other cities.
Yeah, and I already have like people that know me now, so it's going in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah, your Instagram was taken away. You had 8,000 followers, and you're rated a top chef. How did you go about building your brand?
So I mean, that was all just me, just getting shots. My girlfriend getting shots of all the food that I was doing while I was at events, and that's really just us doing everything like organic. We didn't buy followers. Like the followers that I have are very strong followers for me. Like they, I don't know. I feel like they kind of look up to me. Yeah,
it's awesome.
They like what I'm doing. So
yeah, some of your videos that I was looking through, you had more intimate moments where you're just taking a rip from from the dab, but you're also cooking as well, and had thousands of views. And organic reach is much better. I refuse to buy followers. You could tell when you land on an Instagram or a social media account and there is faulty followers.
Yeah,
it just it turns you away. You're like, how do you have
70,000 followers and you have like 50 likes on a picture? Like, it doesn't add up. You can tell.
Fraud.
Yeah,
fraud.
You're like, get out here.
Did you ever participate in any sort of like cannabis cook-offs or anything like? Is there anything like that out here?
No, not yet. I mean, I've talked to other chefs about doing it, but hopefully we'll have something like that in the works.
That would be a premiere for that industry or that growing market out here for you guys, especially if you could host it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
The Blazed Chefs cook-off.
Yeah.
Or cookout.
Something like that. Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's a good idea.
Hey. Don't copy it for any of those. If any of her loyal followers are listening to this, talking to you out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it seems like Vegas specifically, or you could just say Nevada, the legislation towards cannabis is becoming more friendly, especially being out here on the forefront. I know there's a tasting room, and I know they're trying to find different loopholes, or I guess just workarounds to kind of familiarize people with this, especially as the older generation starts indulging in cannabis and realizing it's not as bad as they've been told.
I feel like they're starting to dive in a lot more. Some of my clients are older clients, and they're like my favorite clients because they don't know anything about it. So like, I like going and kind of teaching them like what everything is and like how it works, and they love it. They love it.
It's a little bit more of like an educational moment.
It is kind of. It's like they're learning about it and they're excited because they know they're going to get high off of it and have a good time. But they're like, what is all this stuff? Because I'll come up with like one of my little like something like this, a little cartridge. And They'll be like, oh, where'd you get that? What does it do? And I'll explain to them, like, this is what it is. This is what it does. This is the brand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit more fulfilling and fruitful when you're teaching different people about it, because those ones will end up being your most loyal customers.
And they are,
so,
yeah.
Yes, I love it.
I know, yeah. And that's why I like telling them about it, because they don't really use social media like we do. They don't stay on it and look through everything. Like, they don't have time. They're not millennials.
Yeah. It's funny when I approach different guests for this show, because sometimes I do have older guests on here, but they don't have a social media following. But then they'll go out and I'll send them the episode and they'll send it to all their friends, and it'll be like some of the most downloaded episodes. So it's like, even though in the social media space we become so focused on the statistics and the numbers, it really comes down to building personal relationships.
Definitely, 100%.
And when you're educating somebody, there's not much more of an intimate relationship, right?
Right.
It's like when you're younger and you had that awesome 6th grade English teacher that you remember forever because they were real with you. They didn't treat you as this like plebe who can't learn.
Yeah, and that's like another thing too, like with my people that if I do anything with, I like to make sure, like they're having a good time, or at least talk to them, thank them for like booking me, supporting me, everything. So I definitely kind of build a relationship with them too.
Can you do any flair tricks like flair bartenders?
If I do like a creme brulee, I'll like get my little torch out and like torch it in front of them, stuff like that. But no, I can't do all that. You can blow O's.
Boom, right? Hey, that's an attraction within itself.
Blowing, yeah.
I can't tell you. I was in a fraternity in college out here, and I lived in the fraternity house, and they used to have competitions, smoking the hookah, blowing O's, and
do like the best of
the different tricks and
shapes and all that. Yeah.
I would just be drunk or high just watching it. I'm like, this is better than Netflix and TV. Like, this is way more interesting.
Yeah.
It's just a more intimate type of relationship and build and things like that. So it's cool. I do enjoy where this cannabis industry is growing. It seems like I have more friends who dive into it every day or every year who have different positions, and there's so many different sides to it. There's there's the chef, there's the bud tending, there's manufacturing.
Yeah.
It's a full blown industry.
It really is. There's so much to do for it, which is cool because it got people a lot of jobs too. So, especially like during the pandemic, they're hiring people right now for dispensaries. So,
have you ever thought about working for a dispensary?
I have, but I'm like, I just wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know what I would do. I mean, if I did edibles, but then I kind of don't just want to stick to edibles because that's really not my thing. Like it is, I do like making edibles, but I don't want to just make edibles forever.
When you're baking edibles, would you say that it's much easier than, let's say, infusing a steak with cannabis?
It depends. I think that if I'm infusing a steak, when you're cooking with cannabis, you have to make sure that you don't burn off the THC too. So it's you gotta play with the heat a little bit, and you have to know, like, even when you're doing the brownies too, you can't like heat them up too much because you'll burn off the THC, and then they won't be as potent as you thought they were gonna be. What's
the temperature range when you're cooking with cannabis?
You definitely want to keep it low temp for sure.
So it takes longer to cook a meal then?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. So from the overall, I guess just the overall meal itself, how much longer would you say it takes to infuse cannabis into a meal per se, just like cooking a regular chicken?
Probably about maybe like an extra 30 minutes because I'll usually already have like what I'm going to do, like the oil already made. So I don't need to make a whole batch of oil, but just the way that you cook it, yeah, it takes a little, like 30 minutes longer.
And there's just like a few more steps that are attached to it.
A few more steps, yeah.
So how do you make this oil? That's what I'm curious about. Unless it's your secret patent sauce and you don't want to talk about it, I completely understand.
So I'll talk about how I make the oil and not go into it too much. But so I'm sponsored by this company called Magical Butter. They send me like these machines. Basically, all you have to do is you throw the cannabis in there. You throw whatever kind of oil, tincture, whatever you're gonna use for it. Push a button, and that's it. That's all you gotta do.
Oh, it's simple.
Yeah. Well, you also have to decarb too, but that's like a whole little step that I'm not gonna go into. But yeah, so decarbing is also very, very crucial.
Your secret is safe with me.
Yeah.
I'll make sure nobody knows about it.
Yeah. I mean, people know about it, but not a lot of people how to do it correctly. So,
how long did it take you to, I won't say master, but be comfortable with your cannabis infusing skills? Like how much practice did it take?
I think even to now, I'm still learning more and more, but I've definitely got what I need now to make the infusion correct and like dose correctly. So I think about like 3 years, honestly.
So there's a lot of like plug and play to it, a lot of trial and error.
A lot of trial and error, a lot of like having an ounce and just wasting it because I just fucked this whole thing up. Like, yeah, but so a lot of trial and error, but definitely got what I need to get down for infusions right now. But like I said, still learning a lot more too.
What are there any interesting foods that you're trying to infuse that have maybe you've had some trouble with practicing with?
Not so far, no. I'm really just trying to play with recipes and stuff like that and learn how to infuse pretty much everything that I can. Cause also I'm gonna use I like to use coconut oil when I infuse, and I like to not have the food taste like weed. I like a little faint taste of weed, but not too much. So that's another thing that I like to play with too when I'm cooking and different recipes.
I guess that makes sense because of how the cannabinoids, I guess, get sucked up into the fat. It's like a different method with how you burn it. Yeah. I'm actually a terrible cook. I eat the same like 5 meals every day. So anything that I learn about cooking, I'm just like, oh my God, this is new information for me.
Yeah.
I could really see your business becoming something really big and just the space in general. Kind of how, especially in Vegas, where these types of catering events can be brought into the strip casinos once it's legalized.
Right.
Like once weed becomes federally legal, some people think that smoking lounges will be opened on the strip. I don't know if I'm convinced of that, but kind of an underlying workaround is just infusing meals with it, right? Because my main concern is the smell of it. A lot of people complain of the smell. And, you know, I used to smoke weed. I'm not the fondest fan of the smell of weed. So I can see how it could become irritating. But if you're cooking it into meals and food, then it's so much easier. And then you can even open up like a strip within the restaurant where it's kind of just hidden almost, or you just walk by it and you're like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Or maybe some restaurants in the future just hire a cannabis chef and you just have like your own little corner.
I've had people, businesses ask me about that too, like after hours kind of thing. And like,
what are your opinions on that?
I'm all for it, honestly. if they're following guidelines and not, we're not doing anything too illegal. But yeah,
that all just takes time to build familiarity and comfortableness, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like what Hollywood and the movies do. They introduce different topics and ideas through cinematic feature films, and then all of a sudden 5 years later you see it in real life and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Kind of like, you ever watched The Black Mirror?
A little
Netflix?
bit. A little bit, not too much.
So some of the very futuristic and maybe high anxiety type procedures and objects that are introduced in that film end up becoming real. Like they have this like weird robotic dog. Have you seen that? There's like the Win has implemented this. It's like a full AI robotic dog that kind of walks around the property.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a popular video a few days ago that was floating around the internet, and Black Mirror introduced this like 3 or 4 years ago on their TV show. And
so they just have a dog, like a AI dog running around.
Yeah, it plays tricks. I wish I had my phone right here. I would show you, but I'll show you afterwards. Yeah, some of these kind of different, they seem futuristic, but the future is here now. That's why I believe that COVID accelerated a lot of these trends that were happening already.
Did they plan that?
Yeah. From a lab.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. But I do think that Vegas in itself is going to go through a massive repurposing phase, especially right now, as we've learned. Like the Strip closed down. How crazy was that?
So crazy. And some of the casinos still aren't open too, like the Palms. That was crazy. The Rio.
Mm-hmm. And so the Vegas, I really have a really firm belief in this, that Vegas has to take some of these emerging markets like the cannabis infusion industry and some of these other ones and really just put their backing behind it and make it a full-blown industry so that Vegas doesn't have to be tourist dependent anymore, because we see Vegas had the highest unemployment. It was like over 30%, and it still has the highest unemployment of any city in the US. But if we have these small emerging industries that, employ hundreds or thousands of people, it takes that unemployment down. And then we're also bringing in new entrants to the city, whether they actually want to migrate here to live and partake in this industry, or to be a tourist and come hang out with the Blazed Chef.
Yeah, and definitely I think like if they did that too, everybody won't get as drunk because they're high, and they'll be a lot more chill. Mm-hmm. Crime will go down probably.
I think crime will definitely go down for sure. No, not many people, I don't know if I've ever heard of, I'm sure there has been, of people who do a BNE while they're stoned. Just doesn't... Once you smoke, everything seems so much more logical.
Yeah, you're just chilling and eating. Like, you're not going to go beat somebody up. You're going to be like, what up, dude? Like, I'm high. Like, you're going to be chill.
One of the fears of the casinos, and I kind of understand this, is that was, to your exact point, everyone's going to be high, no one's going to be drinking, therefore their revenue is going to be decreased. That's one of my main, I guess, antagonist towards the smoking lounges in a casino. And the only way that they could, I guess, even this out kind of thing is if they charged like $100 for a blunt or something like that.
Don't they give the alcohol for free anyways if you're gambling? So how are you losing revenue?
Well, if people were smoking, then like I worked at Omnia where drinks are over $20 a drink, and bottle service is $500 a bottle or more, and people spend all this money. But if you roll in stoned, you're probably those people who don't have a table minimum and go to and hang out in the general admission. They're probably not going to go to the bar because they're like, I'm fucking stoned. I don't need now. Spending $200 on 5 drinks doesn't sound as logical as when you're drunk and you're like, dude, this makes so much sense. I'm gonna buy for these girls, for me, we're partying.
That makes sense.
So the only way to counterbalance that is if you charged $100 for a blunt.
Yeah.
You think people would pay it?
Yeah, for sure. Because they're like, oh, we're in Vegas. Like, yeah, they're gonna pay it. They pay that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for like infused ones.
Is it more expensive for, I guess per meal for your services? Is it on the higher end?
Definitely. Yeah.
But people are loyal.
Yeah, people are loyal.
And you're paying for the experience.
They're paying for the experience, and no, there's nothing else like it. So they've never had anything like this.
Did you come up with those prices yourself, or did you use something else as a gauge?
I came up with the price. I priced it myself. I go by like head count, the menu that they want. Do you want like a live whole lobster? Do you want like a lobster tail? So there are different variations, but yeah, I factor pretty much that, and then the cannabis into it too.
And the demand for your services, I'm sure, plays a role as well. The more people that request you, obviously, supply and demand economics, the price goes up.
Yeah.
And it probably feels good to know that.
Yeah, definitely winning 2019 Cannabis Chef helped raise my prices up a little bit.
How did you win that accolade?
So that's just the people voting for you.
What was it? Magazine?
It's a Las Vegas Cannabis Awards.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so that's like Hardin won like 5 trophies, which is a dispensary out here. Culture and Cannabis, I know they won a few trophies too. They did throw events till COVID started. Yeah, a lot of the cannabis community out here got some trophies for it.
What's your opinion on the cannabis community out here?
It's cool. Some of the people are a little shady, you know. You can tell who's in it for the money and who's in it because they really love cannabis and want to move forward with it and make it like, you know, something not just to make money off of.
So there's some people that are cutting the edges a little bit, cutting corners.
Yeah, and then just like, I don't know, I guess using it for like the clout or whatever.
I guess there could be a lot of clout in the weed industry.
The influencers. Yeah.
Well, that's you.
I mean, not me. I'm a cook. I do have a good following, but I don't really consider myself an influencer.
How come? And I would consider you through this conversation somebody who's more humble.
Yeah.
Than over in your personality.
I guess that's why. I mean, I do like to post like me smoking and stuff like that, but that's because people like to see me smoking. So I guess maybe I am a little bit of an influencer, but I don't have like 4,000 followers, but I do have, you know, 7,000 really dedicated followers.
Yeah, they seem to be liking all your pictures and commenting.
Yeah.
Because you could see that when you're following somebody on social media, you know, there's so many different variables that come into play. Do they follow back? Do they respond? Are they stuffing their follower count with bots?
Yeah. You can tell who has like the bots and all that.
Yeah, and the personality comes really into play. Especially I've noticed in the city of Vegas where it's becoming more of a foodie town. There's so much emphasis on the chef and who owns that restaurant.
Yeah.
And I guess that also, it comes down to their cooking, but also their personality. Like Gordon Ramsay, for example, he blew up. I've heard that he's not like, you know, he's not the most superior chef, but he's the most likable, or I guess he's the most...
He's mean, but likable and like honest.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
If someone's cooking your food, you want them to be honest with it. You don't want them to give you the wrong measurement or temperature reading, because that could lead to drastic effects.
Definitely.
But you'll be there soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
So before we get out of here, first I want to say thank you for this insightful conversation. I've learned a lot, and in the future, I definitely would love to try your stuff out.
Yeah, for sure.
I always ask one parting question on the way out to everybody. Same question. And the question is, what does Las Vegas mean to you?
So, I mean, Las Vegas, this is my city. I love the people here. You know, I'm for the people. I love Vegas. Vegas is the shit, and I think we're a growing city, and it's only gonna get bigger, better, hopefully, and yeah.
Love that. It's the land of opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
So much potential out here. Where do I send all of the listeners and viewers who are watching on YouTube to learn more about you?
So I do have a YouTube. I only have a few videos up right now, but I'm gonna be doing more content with that. It's at _Blaze_Chef, and that's for all my like Instagram, Facebook. That's all the same tag.
Boom. Give her a subscription, guys. Give her a follow. Amazing content, amazing person through this conversation, as you could tell.
Thank you for having me too. This was awesome.
I appreciate you so much. I look forward to doing this again. And once Vegas finds some sort of new normalcy, that I could come to your event, and you are the Blaze chef who is hosting some sort of cook-off.
Yeah.
That'll be a sight to see.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you next time.